Please welcome James O. Harris.
Hey! So how's everybody doing today? Oh, come on, guys. We can do better than that. How's everybody doing today? That's what I'm talking about. Like I said, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is James Harris. I am a writer and author of and creator of Corey's Courtroom. Before we get started, let me just do a little housekeeping. The bathrooms are straight to the back, straight out that door to the back, as well as the water faucet. Okay. Also, if you want some refreshments during presentation, go ahead and get what you want. I want to thank the Moreno Valley Public School District Public Library for coming and hosting me, asking me to come out and put on a workshop. I want to thank Ivory Frank. She's the library director. She is awesome. Miss Cherie Green, she's Adult Services. And we have Stephanie. She's not here, but her sister's here filming. She's a part of the social media. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but she put me on social media and Moreno Valley Public Library's the website. So you go to and actually see me kind of do my little thing a little bit. So I just want to just say, also, my wife back there. There's my wife, Mary. Say hi, Mary. And has everybody picked up one of these little outlines?
No.
Okay. Well, there's right there. If you need one, just kind of pick it up. This gonna help you follow along. But let me kind of give you a little bit of background about me. About my book. Okay, this is Welcome to the Adventures of Corey's Courtroom. Let me tell you a little bit about Corey. Okay, just come a little bit closer. Let me tell you about Corey. Corey is a little 7-year-old boy, and he lives on a farm with his family. And he always wanted to be a judge like his father, but he didn't know how. So when he goes into the family barn, he uses his great imagination, and it magically turns into his courtroom. And then the farm animals come and tell them their problem. He tells them what to do and who should say, "I'm sorry." So what you see here is, this is Bailiff Ben. That's his best buddy. He tells him who's coming to court. Okay? That's Sebastian, his gavel, his magic spoon. He talks to him during the court proceedings. And this is the Barnyard Book of Rules. And he tells him about the cases and what's going on. And so what this book goes about. Hey, honey, can you? Oh, I think I have it. Let me make sure. Okay. And what this book deals with is things like bullying, peer pressure, lying, stealing, and those type of issues. Because what Corey is designed to do, Corey's design is to teach simple morals and values, using farm animals to resolve real-world issues, resolve conflict while maintaining friendships, while also opening up a dialogue between a parent and a child and teacher and students. For instance, like one of the stories in here is bullying, right? The story of bullying. We all know what bullying is, right? Well, especially for the young folks, 3 things usually happen when kids are being bullied. Either they're being bullied, they've seen somebody being bullied, or they're the bullier. And so it's a lot easier to talk to children about a bullying issue if they're looking at it through their animals in terms of the behavior. Because all of a sudden now you're not the bad guy. You're not saying, "Are you being bullied, James? Or you see somebody getting bullied?" And I'm like, you're telling you when they see the bad behavior coming from the animals, they can actually correct it. And so, this is Barnyard Buddies, okay. All right. And so one of the stories in here, a mother had asked me to write. When I was first formulating these stories, a mother had asked me to write. She said, "Do you have a story about an active shooter?" Yeah, I went, ooh, that's a rough one. You know, how would I write a story about an active shooter? I said, let me think about it. So one of the last stories in this book is called Run, Hide, or Fight. And this is about an active shooter, but he's a really active spitball shooter. Okay? So what it does, it teaches the kids that what do you do in an emergency, and that's what they're teaching the kids, unfortunately, in school. You have to run, hide, or fight. And so when I read this at the libraries or around the city, this is really popular because, what's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Who is running in this picture? Who do you see running?
Scared kids?
No, who do you see? Which one is running here? Who do you see running? No, he's not running.
He's hiding.
He's hiding. I think he's running. Okay, James. Who do you see hiding in this picture? No, he's not. Well, he's kind of hiding. But how about little sheep? Hiding. Yeah. Yeah. And who do you see fighting? Okay. Actually, the story revolves around Bruce the Bull. Bruce the Bull. He didn't listen to the instructions to learn how to fight. So when they had a mock drill, guess who got caught not doing the right thing? So that's a little bit about Corey's courtroom. And so what I want to do today, I want to use two books. Let me get this real quick here. Okay, for our workshop on how to write an effective children's book, I want to use two source documents. First of all, I want to use, there are two greatest books that were ever written, children's book ever written in history. The first one is, we all know Dr. Seuss, huh? We all know Dr. Seuss, huh? Okay. This is a great book in the simplicity, but how it actually laid out. The second greatest book we're going to use is, guess what? Amen. Corey's Corbin. Much better. So today, this is what we're going to cover. Maybe for time purposes, we may not go over everything, but we're going to hit some of the high points. So if you ever wanted to write a children's book or just write a book for your grandchildren, your children, or just for anybody, this is a good nomenclature to help you kind of put some stuff together. All right? We're going to go over theme, plot, conflict, basic sentence, sequence of plots, story structure, point of view, character, setting, style, tone, and conclusion. Hey, Dale, how you doing? Hey, G, come in. This is Dale Roberts. He's from Riverside. Actually, his real name is Mr. Riverside. So you know, thank you for coming out. So you know, when Dale Roberts come, you know, you kind of made it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right, so let's see where we start at. Well, let me ask you, has anybody ever thought about writing a children's book or just anything, just writing as a whole? And what were your thoughts?
Writing a script.
Just writing a script? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what you're going to see tonight is that whether it's a children's book, a novel, or even a manuscript for a movie, there are some common features and that kind of run through all books. So let's kind of see where we're at here. Okay. Children's book. Children's books are a little bit different because guess what? You're speaking to a different audience, right? You're speaking to a different audience. So remember, good children's stories do not preach. Instead, they educate for life by exploring significant things. That's important because when a kid goes to read a book or a child can read a book, they're not trying to hear a Sunday school message. But they're not trying to hear you talk to them again, right? But some of the best books that we've learned about, that you read about, is you read it, and then afterwards you went like this. Oh, I learned something, but you didn't know you learned it. And so when you're thinking about writing a story for a child, think about what can I actually get to them without them knowing I'm giving it to them. Kind of like medicine, right? All right. So a theme. A theme is important. It says a theme. A theme is a main idea or moral of a story, an underlying message or big idea. Otherwise, what belief about the author, about life the author is trying to convey? Don't blur out the theme, let it emerge through dialogue. For instance, green eggs and ham, right? Oh, yeah. What is the theme? What do you think Dr. Seuss, what do you think he was trying to get across to you? That's okay, because we're gonna go through that. Actually, you didn't forget, and when we go through it, you guys are gonna see it. But your theme is when you're trying to write for a child is what are we trying to get across to you? Let me give an example. I just did it. With this picture right here, what is my overarching theme?
Try to solve the problem.
Safety.
Try to solve the problem.
I'm trying to solve a problem. Safety. I'm trying to think about what to do in an emergency if there's an active shooter in the school, okay? So my dialogue, and we're going to talk about dialogue, has to match your picture, and your picture has to match your theme, and your theme has to match your plot, okay? We're not going to go deep, but we're going to kind of just keep it going. Is everybody okay right now? Your head's not exploding yet, right? All right. Okay. Okay. Here it goes. A plot is normally built around a conflict involving the main character, and that's kind of where I want to kind of hang my hat on for a little bit. All right, we want to talk about conflict. Okay, there are 4 basic conflicts. There's internal, there's person to person, there's environmental, and there's society. Okay, who can give me an example of an internal conflict? In a movie, in a movie, in a book.
Okay. Never mind, I have to think now.
Okay, how about someone who has a drinking problem and they're fighting some type of addiction? Okay, smoking. How about physically, you're trying to fight it. You have
I was thinking, death of a salesman.
Death of a salesman. And what was that internal conflict?
He was about to lose his job and he's going through all kinds of conflicts
Within conflict, okay? All right, very good. How about person to person?
Physical fighting.
Okay, physical fighting, that's a conflict. Very good. James?
More than one person.
It's more than one person. All right. Most conflicts you see is person to person. Standard arguments. Okay, some are more subtle than not. How about environmental? Has anybody seen that movie? It just came out. It's called The Mountain Between Us. Okay. Those who've seen The Mountain Between Us is about two people being strangers crashing on top of the Rocky Mountains, and it was snowing, and so they had to get down, and the reception was about to go out on their phone, right? Which it did. So they had to get down off the top of a mountain before they froze to death, hungered, and died. All right. So the question is, and they didn't know each other, so they kind of got into it a little bit. So what was that conflict? Their survival. Keep going, Kevin. It was survival, but what was their conflict? What was their conflict?
They had different ways to survive.
No, that was just us trying to get up. Them trying to get it. What was it was the mountain and the elements. It was the environment. And so they set that up. That okay, we're gonna set up a conflict between you and whatever in order to drive the story. And what you can see, if you don't have a good conflict in your story will die. You have to have your story will absolutely die. What about society? Back in the 60s, in the 70s, these had those black exploitation movies, Shaft and African, all things like that. And you always hear to say, it's the man who's keeping me down. Remember those things? Okay. That was against who? That was against society, right? So if you look at any movie or any good book right now, you're going to see one of these conflicts in it. If you don't have conflict, then there's no way your story's going to move. For instance, is everybody all good?
Yeah.
No. Is everybody all bad? No. So you're going to have to find a balance, and you have to create a conflict, because with conflict, you create tension. With tension, with dialogue, you can actually move your story along, and people want to listen to you. And from the greatest to, like I said, when we do the green eggs and ham, you're going to see. Okay, it says conflict often takes the form of a problem the main character must resolve. So that main character must resolve a problem. His character should succeed or fail in part through the efforts in a realistic fashion. If you're reading a book and a story, you go like this. That would never ever happen. I mean, give me a break, please. You know, you're gonna put it down. And you have to remember, who wrote this? So you have to make sure that when you're writing it and the children are looking at it, they're going to be like, okay, this is something that I can feasibly actually do. Because if you give a child a book and they can't actually look at it and figure out, I can figure it out, they're going to put it down. Okay. Okay. The character learns or grows in the process. The lesson growth conveys the theme. So as he's going through it and he's learning about it, ultimately that should come out. Your theme should come out of your conflict and out of your plot. That's why you have to think about it. Hey Deborah, how you doing? For instance, like when I'm going to write a story, right? When I'm going to write a story, okay. I usually start from the end. You know, I usually start from the end. Well, why do you start from the end? You think you should go boom, 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 boom. But the reason why I start from the end and not the beginning is because I need to know where I'm going. Right. I also need to know, what am I trying to tell you, okay? At the end of the day, when you walk away from it and all the fluff, what is it that you're going to remember that I wrote you? So I start from the back. Okay, this is what I want to tell Dale. This is what I want to tell him. All right. Now I can start working backwards to figure out how I'm going to get there. Because what's going to happen is this: once you start writing a story and it's a good story, you're all into it, right? You'll start doing this. God, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. This is a good idea. This is good. And as you know, you totally have 2 or 3 different stories that you never really intended, because you never had a theme in the first place to say, okay, this is what I want to teach somebody. So for instance, for Corey, if I was going to teach stealing, right? Okay, I would start from the beginning. Okay, how do I want to make this look? I want to make this look, and then work back from the stealing part. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Yeah, bobblehead, kind of, yes, kind of. Okay. All right. Okay, this is a basic sequence of plots. Okay, you have to have arrival of the conflict. It has to arrive. Okay. At the initial assess of the main character, reversal, final victory, and outcome. And children's books usually have one conflict. And that's because if you have too many conflicts, they will lose their way. They'll lose their way. If you're having a more complicated book, a novel, or even a movie, you can put a lot of different conflicts in there. But if you're talking about a children's book and you're trying to get a message to them, you really want to have one conflict. You can have 2 underlying. You'll see some in Corey. They have some underlying conflicts, but and this is going to be good because I want you guys to be tuned to what am I trying to tell you in these stories. Okay, and you'll never look at stories and movies the same again, because you say, you know what? I seen that internal conflict, I seen that personal conflict, I see the social conflict, I see the environment, I see what they're trying to do. Okay, from Marvel Comics, you go, it's all the same. What type of conflict they're going to have in Spider-Man? Spider-Man's fighting a foe, right? So it's person to person. Okay, and so it just follows a pattern. Sentence structure, story structure. This is important for children. You have to jump right into the action. Right. If you give a long, drawn out, you will lose them. Because you got to remember, what are we competing with? We're competing with iPods, iPads, the social network, boom, boom. They're trying to get it, right? So if you have a long introduction trying to get kids to it, you have to grab them because they will put it down. Because Mr. James said he doesn't read already, all right? So if you're writing a story, and this is all stuff you kind of think about. You know, when you're writing a story, you kind of want to get to it. You kind of want to get to it and grab their interest. Second, you want to bring the story to a prompt in. We have some great writers in here. We have some great writers. We have screenwriters. We have writers. We have Miss Ann Christian's writing the book, the Bobby and Sunny Mysteries. I mean, some great writers, and they can kind of string you out a little bit before they get you to the end. But for a children's book, they'll be like, please, boom. Yeah. And so the goal is to keep their interest and make sure that they're engaged. And especially at story time, or especially at bedtime. At bedtime, you don't want them wandering off. You kind of want to okay, here we go, read a story. But you want to kind of keep them engaged, all right? Keep the sentence structure as simple as possible. That's different than talking down to somebody, okay? Your kids now are very intelligent. Okay, so if you start using a language that talks down to them, they will pick that up and put down that book. Because the goal is literacy, to have them read books, right? So you have to make it seem like, okay, you know what? This book is for me. And I can read it, and the language is about what I'm going through, and I kind of get it. Does that kind of make kind of sense? All right. Very good. Okay. I appreciate that. Make appropriate between first person and third person. First person is I did it, and the third person, they did that. And we'll talk about that probably a little bit later. But when you're writing, you want to make sure what person you're talking to, because you'll skip back and forth. You will skip back and forth and not even know it. As you know, you're talking from your perspective, and you're talking from somebody else's perspective, but you think it's supposed to be from your perspective. All right? Point of view. Okay. Point of view should be told through a single character or main character at a time. Okay? My book, Corey's Courtroom, you're going to see it from Corey, but mine has a little different hierarchy, but everything's going to flow from Corey, flow from him, and then it's going to flow back to him because he's the main character. He's one of the main characters. Setting, set your story in a place and time that would be interesting and familiar. Okay. A barnyard. Is that familiar?
Yeah.
Most folks know what a barnyard is. They've been with it, okay? So they don't have to make a mental leap too far to kind of come with me already, okay? They see a little boy sitting in a barnyard, and I explain it to them, already you're here with me. Okay? I don't have to work so hard now for you to read the story, because now you're waiting to see what's happening with Corey. Okay? You see a little boy, and it says interesting, right? A little boy starting his own court. That's kind of different. All right? And so now mentally, you're not having to work hard. You don't want to have a setting where people are you're trying to figure out what's going on, you know, because my goal is to put you in a place, and let you follow me. Okay, I want you to follow me step by step. So by the time I get to end of the story, you should really understood what I was saying and really not have any questions, because you kind of walk with me. Have anybody ever read your story? You read a book, and then the person says they read it, and then in between it, they're kind of telling you some stuff about the book. Like he really had a red hat on, and it was blue and black, and then he read it more, and he jumped over, They kind of put narration in there. Well, that tells you, and we're going to talk about it in just a minute, that tells you there wasn't enough dialogue. Because when they pick your book up and you're not with me no more, I'm not going to be able to say that to you. So how that person, whoever wrote that, didn't convey what they're trying to say to you in a way that you could read it and get it, understand it after I'm gone. Does that kind of make sense? And we'll talk about dialogue in a minute, because dialogue is really important. Character. Ooh. Okay. Know your character thoroughly. Do you know what a dossier is? A dossier?
Is that like a docent?
Yeah.
So they do around.
Yeah, and also just kind of make a dossier is kind of, you come and get your character, and you make up your character. Okay? You need to know everything about that character. For instance, okay, Corey, I went like this. 2013. I think I want to write a book about a little boy named Corey. Courtroom. He has a robe on. You know, I kind of went through it. I mentally made Corey in my mind, who I wanted him to be and what I wanted him to look like. Okay, and so, but then I said, okay, well, I have this little boy. So what? You know, what type of is he mean? Is he happy? Is he fun-loving? Does he have jokes? Is he a good athlete? Is he ostracized from school? What is he? So you have to come up with your character, and you have to know him. A lot of writers, they'll come and put on like a hat or a coat or something of that character to really get into that character, because you really have to know that character. Because if you don't believe in a character, guess what the children aren't going to believe in?
They won't know.
They're not going to believe in it. They're not going to believe in it. So you want to make sure that your character, that you really know your character. Secondly, your main character should be someone the reader can identify and or sympathize with. That's what I alluded to that earlier when I said, is everybody bad? No. And everybody good? No. Everybody has some redeeming qualities. You know, even if you look at the villains, it's the villains go, you know what? He wrong, but okay, I kind of get where he coming from sometime. You know, And that's because if your character can't make people sympathize with them or empathize with them. When I say empathize, that means that they understand what they're going through. All right. When you read Corey, you'll see a lot of that. Empathy, sympathy, understanding what they're going through. When I said bullying, he picked that up because I know what whoever's going through in here, he's been through it. So right now, I made a connection. Okay. Thirdly, is that he or she should be at the near. He or she should be near the top of your intended age readers. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because what happens is that you want your children, you want your children who's ever read the book to actually grow up with it. That's why some stories like the Magic Tree House. Magic Tree House is up to like 60-something volume, number 60-something, because they're having a whole generation growing up with them. Us grayheads, we kind of got volumes of, Dr. Seuss, right? But we grew up with that. So what happens is when you're writing your stories, you kind of want to think about who you're writing it to and the age limit that you're at. Because you don't want to write them and then all of a sudden they're gone. Okay. Identify your character with one or more telling details. Physical traits, mannerism, a favorite phrase, complete description, and a complete description is not needed. I want you guys to remember this stuff because I'm going to go back to it when we actually do a quick overview. When we do a quick little exercise, this is going to make sense. So some of the best characters you had, you kind of remember, right? So what is it something, you might have a character that they kind of remember, that has something distinct, a physical trait, a mannerism, a phrase. Okay, how about this? Conjunction, junction, what's your? Function. There it is. Okay, all right. How about the cat in the hat? The cat got a hat. It doesn't have to be a full description. It has to be just something that will make you remember them. And this is a good little tip. This is a good little tip. If you're writing a story, never write a character that people can remember. Never write a story. I know it sounds counterintuitive, huh? Never write a story that a reader can remember. You write a character that they cannot forget. There's a difference.
Like Drew.
There's a difference. And so what happens is when you go into your writing and you're sitting there and like us old heads, we still have pen and paper, but you kids, the little thing is flashing, the little beeper's flashing, blinking. You have to think about, okay, how can I make this character that not only they won't remember, that they won't forget them. They're in your head, and so whenever you see them, you say, you know what? Boom. Now you're starting to, grab people. Make sense so far? All right. Either I'm doing really good or I'm confusing everybody right now. Okay.
Some of us.
Okay. Style and tone. Use dialogue whenever possible. Aim at least 1/3 of your story as dialogue. Okay, this is a good one. When you're talking about dialogue, if I'm talking to you, you're talking to me, that's going to drive your story. Your conflict, your character, and your dialogue will drive your story. All right? So when we talk about first person and second person, all right, if all my story is about narration, you'll put it down because it's not interesting. There's no conflict between us. We're not talking. It's the third person telling you what I'm doing with it, and you're like, oh, okay, boom. You want to have some interaction, just like in real everyday life, And so when you're writing your paper, and you do it in paragraphs, just look at it and see, okay, how much is narration, how much is dialogue, how much am I talking, how much are the characters actually speaking. And I actually had to go back and do that. Okay, N for narration, D for dialogue, and had to go back and revise it, have people read it. Hey, because it sounds good to me, it always sounds good to you, right? So it sounds good to me, and then you have to break it down because you want as much narration, dialogue as you can. Okay? Use language that create atmosphere, tone, suited to your story. That's really important. Okay? You have to think about where am I at? Okay, so if I'm writing Corey's courtroom and I'm on a farm, I have to use language that's kind of indicative to where he's at. Okay, he ain't on the moon or he ain't at the beach. Yeah, he's on the farm. So y'all want to hear some farm stuff, right? Okay, so all that is connecting the dots from the very beginning to the very end. All we're trying to do is connect dots, so by the time the reader is done, they go like, okay, I understand it. For young children, use poetic devices like rhymes and repetition. That's big, okay? Like I said, okay, let's say it with me. I don't like green eggs and ham. I don't like them. Bam. Now, we haven't picked up that book in I don't know how long, but we still know it. And y'all said it loud, too. Y'all said it with your chest. Y'all said, Sam I am. And y'all don't even know who Sam I am is, huh?
I do.
But we're gonna learn about Sam I am. But you see how years later they're still using simple rhymes and repetition and everything. So when you're thinking about writing, kind of think about a little rhyme. It doesn't have to be anything big or big. And when I read an excerpt from Corey, all these things I'm talking about, I want you guys to be thinking about it and see, can I see that in there? Whether it be the conflict, whether it be the character development, just the whole nine. All right. Okay, so conclusion. What have you learned today? The strongest children's stories have well-developed themes, engaging plots, suitable structure, memorable characters, well-chosen setting, and attractive styles. All right. So far, so good, guys? Okay. Yeah. So now we're going to do just a little bit thing. I'm going to have you guys kind of talk to me. All right? So I want to see if you guys have been paying attention at all. All right, here we go. Okay, we're gonna bypass that. All right. So, first of all, tell me, what type of conflict is it?
Internal?
Two people.
Okay, this is the gentleman. This is Sam I am.
Sam I am.
Okay.
Person with person.
Okay. So, what did Dr. Schutz tell us right now? He said, you see this person right here? He's kind of mad, right? He's kind of like looking like, who's this person? Okay. Then we have this person, right? Sam I am. Okay. So, in all stories, you need to have this. You need to have a protagonist, and you need to have an antagonist. All right, because that's how you drive dialogue. Because you have that's really a fancy way of saying a good guy and a bad guy. Okay. Because you need to have a good guy and a bad guy to have a conflict. Okay, somewhere got to be conflict, and then you have to have dialogue to drive that conflict. You follow me? And your characters will drive your conflict by your dialogue. Okay, so she said that there was internal. Could be because kind of hating. He didn't even know Sam I am. He was hating, right? Okay, but here, so right now Dr. Seuss said, all right, without even telling you guys, going to any English classes, we're going to know that he's going to be the antagonist. Okay, and so here comes Sam, smiling, happy. Sam I am. Okay, and it's interesting that Dr. Seuss didn't even give him a name. He just let you know that, you know what, this person is going to be driving something, and he's not that important in terms of what's going to ultimately be happening. That's why he says, Sam I am. Okay, so then he says this. First this, that Sam I am. I don't like that Sam I am. Okay, so right now we have what? We have a conflict. You have a conflict. So right now we're taking a young reader and they're teaching about, okay, here we go. There's going to be some type of conflict. We already know what's going to be going on. Yeah, right now it's person to person. It could be internal because we don't know why he's hating on Sam. But all right, what he's really trying to show us is that the conflict is between those two. Okay. Increased tension, which peaks or climaxes. Okay, so now here comes the protagonist. Do you like green eggs and ham? What does he say? I don't like them, Sam I am. I don't like green eggs and ham. You know, I can't understand it. When I was a little boy, I read this book and I thought, you know what? I want some green eggs and ham. So I went and had some colored dye, scrounged up, put some green dye in there. Who else did that?
Who didn't do that?
For some reason, they were the same eggs, but because they were green, they just taste different. And I was like, so I had green eggs and ham. Okay, so what happened? So what you're seeing in this book, you're seeing tension building between who? The protagonist and the antagonist. Okay, you're seeing a conflict and you're seeing a tension build. When you're having a book, it has to go like this. You have to start building tension, and then it has to come to resolve. Okay? So what you're seeing here, and I'm showing just a few excerpts to kind of get you guys to understand what's happening. You have to build that tension. And they built the tension through the dialogue. Do you like green eggs and ham? I don't like green eggs and ham. I don't like them, Sam, I am. Okay? And so this is what our children are getting, because they're trying to teach us something. So the question is, right now you're thinking, what is the theme of this? What is Dr. Seuss trying to teach us? Okay? Here we go. Just a few more slides for this. Okay, it resolves and comes to a prompt close. See how they jumped into it quick? Very beginning? And now they get out quick, because he says this. I don't have my glasses on. It says, Sam, if you will let me be, I will try them, you will see. Through the whole rest of the book, you eat them in a box, you eat them in a fox, you eat them in a, all that stuff like that. Okay, so you kind of, I'm impressed. You guys really know this, don't you? Okay. So, so by now he's kind of wore out. He says, okay, I'll try him if you just let me be. All right? So here we go. Here it's to say, I like green eggs and ham. I like them, Sam, I am. I would like them here in a boat. I would like them with a goat. Okay? So now we just had resolve. We had resolve, right? And so what do you think the message right now he was trying to teach them?
Try new things.
Try new things. Very good. That's little kid who got that. Try new things. Okay, that's very good. Anything else? The tolerance for differences. Don't be afraid to try something new. Very subtle. Didn't have to tell you to try something new, but he's also he's a happy guy, right? Okay. And then it goes to a prompt close. I do not like green eggs and ham. No, I do like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam, I am. Okay. So what you see was how Dr. Seuss used a simple nomenclature like their conflict, character development, arrival of the conflict, resolve. He shows you sentence structure, because you could follow him, huh? If you read that book, you go, because Sam kept saying, well, will you eat him in a car? Will you eat him in a bar? Whatever. And it kept going. But when you were reading Dr. Seuss, you were right there with them. You were right there with them to the very end. And then, everybody was cool. And so all of a sudden now we have friends. And so what you see here is that there's a reason why he put his arm around him. Okay? Friendship. And also, without you knowing it, subliminally, he showed you conflict resolution while maintaining friendships. Okay, that's a core lesson. And you got all that in Dr. Seuss, I don't like green eggs and ham. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Wow. Any questions before I go on? We'll be done in just a moment. Okay, all right. Let me see where we're at here. Huh? Questions? All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read you you guys get a treat today. I'm going to read you a Corey story. All right? I'm going to read you a story from my book. And you guys think about these things that we just talked about and see if you can identify them. All right? See if I hit the mark. I'll read you the introduction, and then I'll actually read you the story, okay? Just so you can have some idea. All right. While most 7-year-olds are learning to rollerblade, Corey spends his days imagining being a judge like his father. Having his own courtroom would be a dream come true. But how? At first he was discouraged, but then he had an idea. He could imagine the family barn as his own courtroom. The farm animals could tell them their stories, and he could tell them who should say I'm sorry. Corey cut a hole in the middle of an old blue superhero cape, which became his robe. An old milk crate would be his desk, and a large wooden spoon would be his gavel. Now, when Corey closes his eyes and uses his vast imagination, the barn magically transforms into his courtroom. These are adventures of Corey and his barnyard friends. Welcome to Corey's courtroom. Will everyone please rise? So right now, right there, just my introduction, I put you in a place. Okay? I gave you enough information that you said, you know what, I really want to hear about this courtroom, this little boy, his imagination, and I don't have to think about anything else because I know where he's at. I know where he's at. And so now we're going to open up the story. This is my first story. It says, the title is called Taking Someone's Test is Not for the Best. Okay. Today was Corey's birthday. His father promised to take him to get his favorite ice cream, double chocolate fudge after work. Corey knew he was going to hear a few cases today and could not wait to get started. When Corey picked up Sebastian, his magic spoon, it began to sing. Bring your problem to Judge Corey, no matter the size. Welcome to Corey's courtroom. Will everyone please rise? Bailiff Ben, who are we seeing today? Mr. Billy Goatee, the second grade teacher. Let me put that up here. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Mr. Goatee, the second grade history teacher. Corey had known him for years. He's a large, tall goat with round glasses sitting on the edge of his nose. They look like they're about to fall off when he bends forward. His long white beard matches a few white strands of hair on top of his bald head. A piece of straw hangs from his mouth when he speaks. Corey knew he was a good teacher. Good morning, Mr. Goatee. How can I help you today? Your Honor, yesterday's test assignment was to write in your own words the history of the barnyard and turn it in today. Well, Fancy Fox and Sheldon the Shetland Pony turned in their papers. As I was grading, I noticed Fancy and Sheldon's papers were written in the same handwriting. You see, Fancy uses little loops and Sheldon uses big loops because of his hoofs. Both papers had little loops. I asked Fancy if she wrote Sheldon's paper, and she said yes. I brought Fancy and Sheldon to see you about this. Corey could barely see Fancy's face above the desk. She was standing with her paws folded in front of her. Fancy was a small, cute little girl fox. She wore blue overalls with a yellow flower on the chest pocket. Her overalls stopped at her knees where her pink and yellow striped socks began. Her red hair was in two ponytails split right down the middle. Her blue eyes were wide open when Corey asked why she wrote Sheldon's paper for him. Well, Your Honor, Sheldon is so wonderful. Well, Your Honor, Sheldon is so wonderful. He is so handsome with his long black mane of hair and shiny white teeth. He is so strong and fast, and everyone in the barnyard loves him. I even have a picture of him hanging in my locker with hearts around it. Today is the biggest race of the year against the other barnyards. Sheldon is our hero. He asked me to help him win the big race tomorrow. I asked how. I would do anything to help the barnyard win. He said, since he needed rest for the big race, he didn't have time to write his paper. He asked me if I could write it for him this one time so he could rest. I didn't think one time would hurt. After all, it was for the benefit of the barnyard. When Mr. Goatee found out, he gave us both bad grades and told us to rewrite our papers. Mr. Goatee is making a big deal out of nothing. Corey asked Sheldon to step forward. Sheldon was the best runner in the barnyard and a little cocky. Sheldon was wearing his blue and yellow school uniform for the race. Okay, you guys see, I have a color picture. He's blue and gold, number 12. Just for the OJW guys, that's not really me, okay?
That was your number?
That was my football number. And I wear blue and gold. All right. Yeah, a little cocky, huh? Corey asked Sheldon to step forward. Sheldon was the best runner in the barnyard and a little cocky. Sheldon was wearing his blue and yellow school uniform for the race. Sheldon's legs were short for a pony, but could outrun the best. That may be because his stomach was so close to the ground. Sheldon stepped forward with his head down, looking up at Corey. Did you have Fancy write your paper so you could run the big race? Correction, Your Honor, so I could win the big race. He started to laugh. Corey didn't find that funny. Your Honor, for years we have lost the race to the other barnyards. This was finally our chance to win. There's nobody faster than me. Mr. Goatee has always given us homework a day before the race. He could have made an exception this once. Because I had to rewrite my paper, I missed the race and we lost again. I hope Mr. Goatee's happy. Corey asked the bailiff to hand him his barnyard book of rules. This large, heavy book helps Corey decide who should say I'm sorry in each case. However, this is no ordinary book because it speaks. Corey says, this sounds like a case of cheating arrest to be the best. The barnyard book of rule rises like a cake and then shrinks back to its normal size. It opens to a light green and orange page with a few little T's in the corner. The book begins to rhyme. Taking someone's test will not make them the best. To achieve any feat, you must not cheat. Corey asked Fancy to step forward. Fancy started to feel sad. She said, Your Honor, I wasn't trying to do anything wrong. All I wanted to do was to help us win. Corey smiled. What you did was wrong when you wrote Sheldon's paper. You should never do someone else's work, even if it means you may lose a race. Sheldon was hoping Corey wouldn't call him, but he did. Sheldon, step forward. Winning a race is not worth cheating on the test or asking someone else to help you cheat. I'm disappointed in you. Go, Your Honor, I should not have asked Fancy to write my paper. Corey said, therefore, I rule that Fancy and Sheldon must apologize to Mr. Goatee for cheating. Also, for the rest of the week, both of you must clean the chalkboard after school. Fancy and Sheldon turned to Mr. Goatee, who was sitting in the audience next to the other animals. We're sorry for cheating, Mr. Goatee. Fancy hopped on Sheldon's back. Hopped on Sheldon's back as they galloped around the courtroom saying, next year we're going to win the big race, and left the courtroom. Corey said, the moral of this case is, you should never cheat to win. You will lose in the end. Before Corey's father came, he asked Ben, who are we seeing next? Ben said, a family from the pond. Corey wondered, who could that be? The end. So in that story, did you hear some of the things that we talked about? You hear the conflict? Did you hear the conflict? Well, let's start in the beginning. What was the theme? What was I trying to convey to a young reader? Well, let me ask a young reader.
Nothing's worth cheating for.
Nothing's worth cheating. Anything else? Okay. See, if I get that, I'm happy. Yeah. If I get that much, I'm happy. Yeah, the overall theme is that cheating, don't cheat to win. No matter what you do, cheating in the end. That's what when I think about the story, I want to make sure that they walked away with just that. That they got nobody else. So now, in his mind, cheating is not worth. No matter what you do, write someone else's paper. Okay. Conflict, internal, person to person, environmental. Kind of person to person. Then against Mr. Goatee. You know. Okay. All right. And the kids. All right. You know, I had a few underlying conflicts with Fancy, having a conflict with, having a conflict with, you know, she was trying to do the right thing, right? And how many times our children get the exact same thing, do the wrong thing, but thinking they're doing the right thing, okay? And then, you know, Sheldon, you know, he wanted to win for the barnyard, so he wasn't all bad, right? You know, he just shouldn't have asked Fancy to write the paper for him. You know, so you kind of understand, sympathize, empathize with kind of everybody, all right? So then the sentence structure, you know, hopefully I may ask you guys this, hopefully you guys can walk with me, you know, and you heard the story unfolding and you see the tension mounting. First he called in who? Fancy. Then he called in Sheldon, okay? Then they had to talk about the Barnard Book of Rules, okay? And so, and I threw in a few little rhyme and repetition in there, right? I caught you in the very beginning when I said, bring your problem to Judge Corey, no matter the size. Welcome to Corey's courtroom. Will everyone please rise? And then everybody knew the story was about to begin, okay? And you guys were set for a story. And then I came a little bit further, and I gave you another story about another repetition, a rhyme about the Barnard Book of Rules, what he says, okay? And then at the end, to make sure that everybody got it without belaboring the point, what I did was I gave you a moral. That's the last thing I did. I gave you a moral of a story, so they could walk away with it. And what he said was very significant, because I did that on purpose. I made the people apologize. I made the two characters apologize. So what you saw was conflict resolution, while maintaining friendships, and it's okay to say I'm sorry. Boom. And so he walked away with that, just hearing it for the very first time. So I achieved my goal. And so if you're writing a story and you're trying to just convey an idea, you can use this this little outline I kind of gave you as kind of a little template. You can do it two ways. Either you can write a story, and then see if you hit some of these, or you could kind of write your story at the same time, looking back and forth to kind of see where you're at. But it'll just give you structure. It just give you structure. Okay. Any questions? Any questions about that? No. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of off topic.
How do you propose it to a publishing company? And number two, how do you choose the artist? The artist is always what intimidated me. So I'm just wondering how you came about to research that and
Good.
get that resolved.
Good question. Good question. Two things. First of all, I tried to draw. I couldn't draw. Right. I couldn't draw. Couldn't draw a stick figure. So I went to a site that it's like a marketplace for all kind of different. And I can give you that site after class that you can go to. And my guy. Let's see, where's he at here? Oh. Yeah, Don Tran. He's out of Vietnam, and I communicate through him through let me see here through email, and we sat there and we just talked. So, Time, what's your second question?
Publishing company.
Okay, there's two ways you can do this. You can go get if you go to a publishing company like the big Clearinghouse and the big ones, you would have to go get a literary agent, pay him. Then he'll take your book, and if he thinks he can make money off it, and then take it to a company, and then if they think they can make money off it, take your book, either take it, either give you some royalties for it, and that's pay you off for it, and take your book, right? Or they'll take your book and put it on the shelf, because they may have like 15 books like yours, but they think it's good and they put it up. Okay, or you can be self-publishing. You can self-publishing. The reason why I was self-publishing is because I wanted to, one, control my content. I want to make sure I controlled my content. I want to make sure that wherever Corey went, I was the one who's going to do it. Secondly, what happened is that if you, I have a vision for Corey, okay? If you send it to a company, they're not going to take your illustrator, okay? They're going to put who they think is commercially to sell that, all right? But I'm like, no, I know what I like, and if nothing else, I'm doing it. So I didn't want them to take my manuscript and then put their own, because, okay, so right now, let me ask you something. Without seeing the book, I just said Corey, right? Okay, what color is Corey? Yeah, he could be anything, and that's exactly right. Because they could have taken it and made Corey any color, rainbow anything. And and the thing about Corey's courtroom is unique is that you could bring any issue to the courtroom, right? And there may be some issues I may not want to go to Corey's courtroom. Right. So all those things are considerations when you're talking about trying to publish and trying to become an author, and where you want to go with it and how you want to go, because those things matter. Those things matter. They would do. That's a good question.
On staff that they don't pay to do the work.
They usually do.
So they don't want to pay.
They usually do it.
So they change everything just so it's a freebie.
Yeah. So Corey might be blonde, blue head. He might be teddy, he might be Asian, he might be anything. And there's not my book anymore. But I got my little money. Okay. Well, that's not what I wrote the book
Now
for.
what's all the work?
So, so like this is just a little workshop. Usually this workshop's a little bit longer, but they give like an hour, so I want to make sure I got the Q&A in, just so we can kind of talk. A portion of the question. Okay, a portion of the proceeds of the book are going to go to a charity. One of sometimes with the Library of Literacy, because my goal is the book is only $8.50. Okay, somebody asks you how do you price it only $8.50? Well, the reason why I priced it that to me is a good price because my focus was to get it into the hands of the kids and the parents. And if you have children, you have parents that have like 2 or 3 kids, they can't pay 10 or 15, 20 bucks for a book. Right. So I wanted to make sure that I could get at least low enough that they could get it to their kids so they could have it. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can you share with us the age in which you currently?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's fourth and fifth graders. Second, third, and fourth.
You have other books coming out?
I do. I'm working on that. I'm working on my second book right now, and so far. Right now, I'm in Moreno Valley. I'm contracted to the Moreno Valley School District, and what I do is you hear tier 2 kids. Ever heard those terms, tier 2 kids? Okay, what I do is I go into the classroom 2 days a week, and I actually set up my courtroom, Corey's courtroom, And tier 2 kids are some of the kids that may have some behavioral problems, kind of working through some stuff. And so I have stories about, I have every story you could possibly imagine. Everything from CPS to homeless to, I have a ton of stories. So whatever issues that the children are kind of going through, I kind of tailor my stories to them. And so I set up Corey's courtroom. And we just talk about it. And the good thing about it is that they don't see me as a parent. They see me as Corey, Mr. James. And so then when I talk about, okay, I ask them, okay, one of my stories is called Misbehaving in Class Will Make You Last. And it's about a possum. And his name is Last Chance Chauncey. Because the kids in the story named him that because he's always on his last chance before he goes to the principal's office. So he's called Last Chance Chauncey. Okay. So I asked the kids, okay, who's here is kind of like Last Chance Chauncey? He's always going to the principal's office. They go like, I said, okay, well, how many times you been? Who been here 2 times? 5 times? I'm like, mercy, 10 times. I said, you haven't been to the principal 10 times. Okay, but that's good. That kind of gives me a little insight of where they're at. And so we kind of work through the issues. And so by the time the class is over, they kind of understand that, hey, you know what, maybe acting out in class and disturbing somebody else over there, that's not really a good thing because it's making you last and everything else. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, Corey's courtroom is such a beautiful concept. I'm really proud of you. This is really great. I could easily see this on a Saturday morning. I turn on TV and there's a cartoon.
Yay!
And it's as an animated show.
Thinking about it, it's hard to get up to LA and kind of, network to find somebody. So if you know anybody, let me know. But yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be it's a teaching tool. It's good for teachers in classrooms. It really is. It really is. Conflict. Oh, yes.
Where in this library is this book located?
Oh, he said, where is the library of the book located? Very good. It's located in this book, in this library, at the mall. Everybody been to the mall branch? The mall branch? And it's also in Paris. And I did some numbers speaking to Sharice and Ivory, and it's doing really well. I'm happy that it's being checked out a lot. And so the more books I can sell, I can kind of give it up. It is in this library too.
Can you just share with everyone the significance of that rug? And how it's used in school?
Okay, you guys see my little rug there? Okay, that's called that's part of my mentoring program. It's called Corey's Carpet. And so what happens is that I lay it out before they come into the classroom, right? And so they come in, and so they wipe off their feet. And so they all sit down. I said, okay, so what are you wiping off? Oh, the dirt from the grass, the streets. I said, no, that's not true. What you're wiping off is all the bad, negative behavior, things that happened behind you, things that happened before in the classroom, whatever happened at the house. Because you remember, a lot of stuff that you're seeing in the schools, you're seeing it coming from the house. So I have them take it off there, so then when they come with me, we're starting like a fresh start. But also, it's helped me for control too. Because let's say Kevin, like he usually does, is talking, right? I can say, Kevin, go wipe up your feet, because I don't think you got all your talking off, or your bad off, or whatever the case may be off. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a nice, easy way to still, yeah. And they walk over there, and they yeah, that's right. And so by the time I used to do like a 3 months course. Sometimes the little shoes are all worn out, but that's okay because I'm giving them a visual and I'm giving them, and the kids they're all antsy, right? So they get up there and sometimes they like it. Okay, stop moonwalking and come on back down. But it's just a little tool that I use to help manage the classroom.
I should take over businesses that were failing, and I would fire everyone, bring them outside and said, I'm interviewing right now for your position with you, and I'd had a shovel, I'd have them bury the past, go back and interview for the same job.
Mercy.
Same thing. And about 10% would leave, and that's why I wanted to leave anyway.
Yes, Miss Ann.
Oh, my question is how long does it take you to write the story?
Oh, that's a good. How long you take me, honey? About a week, 2 weeks. Well, what happens is
The story is about a week, but then the rewrite from the rewrite is probably about 3 or 4 weeks.
I love rewriting stories. I love rewriting it. I thought that would be bad, but I love rewriting it. I had here, well, I'll just do it like this. What helped me is she facilitates a writing class. Okay, I went there and it was all seniors. Okay, it's 55 and over, seniors writing class, right? So I went there and I heard the seniors writing. They were so good. I said, you know what? I can't be in here. I can't be in here. Because they were just on a totally different level. So I went back, because I have a little Corey story. I said, oh, this is trash, right? So I went back and start writing, start going to workshops, starting to learn the craft, learn the language, understanding what I was doing. Came back, read the story, and they were really kind. You know, it's okay, James, you may want to do this. You may want to look at that. What, you had thought about that? Boom, 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 boom. I said, okay. So I took all the information and just came back and just kept doing the story. So you really need to be somebody who's going to not tell you the truth, but not beat you up. You know, because I wasn't trying to get beat up. I was just trying just to write a story, right? And so then it kind of morphed from there. It kind of morphed from there. So yeah, so I'm working on. I have a second book, and I'm working on another project too. And
I just want to know you're a bad influence. I just told her a joke lie, and she just said, "Go wipe your feet." I was saying I'm basically younger than I am. She said, "Go wipe your feet."
So you know, that's my time, guys. If you're let's see, if you're interested, I'll be here to signing the books. Like, some of the proceeds will go to the literacy fund here at the library. And I just appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate everybody coming out. Thanks, Kevin.
Excellent. Real quick. I tried to get her to